Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chrisley Kennedy, and this is the show that will bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course, we give you the insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Senior Editor, Mr. John Campia.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Today's moment of wisdom that I will impart unto you. You know, a lot of people look at my Facebook page and my history and say, John, how does a guy like you date so many beautiful women over your life? It's simple. I harness the power of patience and settling. Here's all I've had to do. Find a beautiful woman I'm interested in and just wait long enough for their circumstances to fall so low that they reach the level of my looks. And then you're home free, my friends.
Thank you for sharing, John. We also have Associate Editor, Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Good morning, guys. John, I don't think anyone's ever wondered that. No offense.
You'd be surprised.
All right, guys, today we're going to get started with this. Coming off the massive success of The Avengers, everyone knew Iron Man 3 was going to be a huge financial hit, but I don't think we knew it would be this big. This weekend, Iron Man 3 became the second biggest opening weekend box office movie of all time, taking in over $175 million, second only to The Avengers, which made over $207 million on its opening weekend. Rounding out the top 5 of all time opening weekend movies are the final Harry Potter film at number 3 with $169 million, The Dark Knight Rises at number 4 with $160 million, and The Dark Knight at number 5 with $158 million. John, did you expect Iron Man 3 numbers to be this big?
Well, I think we knew it was going to be quite big. I mean, we knew that. This big? No, I wasn't expecting the number 2 all-time box office opening weekend. Not at all. But when thinking about, okay, well, why did it come to this? Maybe it shouldn't surprise us all that much. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is probably one of the most popular actor to superhero matchup pairs. I mean, him right along with Christian Bale as Batman. Two very, very popular things. This is the third film in a trilogy. And most importantly, this is the Marvel film coming directly out of the Avengers, the greatest comic book film of all time, the most successful comic book of all time, film of all time. So really, when you add all that up, it shouldn't surprise us too much. Look, the film, and look, the $175 million is a really good number. But let's not forget, the film has also, that's just North American numbers.
Yeah.
The film has made over $680 million already. Wrap your head around that number. $680 million already. I mean, this really settles the issue. I remember we had a topic the other day, Amy Rose, about, what do we think will do better financially? Not which will be the better movie, what will do better financially, Man of Steel or Iron Man 3? I think you and I both agreed. We said, no, it's going to be Iron Man 3 by a mile because of all those reasons we already explained. But yeah, I got to admit, I am a little taken aback by the success. Amy Rose, what about you?
Yeah, this is pretty impressive. Way to go, Disney Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, number one, Robert Downey Jr. Not only is this the role that jump-started his career again, because he was really not looking good there for a minute, and this got him back in the good graces of the industry, of fans, and Stanley even said it best. It seems like I almost wrote this with Robert Downey Jr. in mind because he's just the perfect fit for it. Number 2, trilogy, you hit on that. It already has a lot of momentum leading up to this. Not to mention, this is the first film in phase 2 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So everyone's really hungry for it. I think this says a lot about where the state of the industry is. The superhero epidemic is not slowing down anytime soon. Woo! And yeah, I think it says a lot. And not to mention, other actors like Sir Ben Kingsley. They get my parents' generation that might have not seen the Iron Mans. My mom's a big comic book fan geek, I'm proud to say, but my dad is just like, oh yeah, I'll check that out. So I think there are other elements that bring in the older audiences that maybe weren't so excited about it. And not to mention ending the trilogy, we all want to see what happened, and I thought it was a great film.
Amazing film, and if you haven't seen it yet, go out and see it today. All right, it's being reported that the star for the upcoming The Crow remake has been officially signed on. Luke Evans will take on the role once played by Brandon Lee and will start shooting the film in early 2014. Evans will appear as the villain in the upcoming Fast and Furious 6 and has also recently landed in the upcoming Dracula. Other actors who were at one point reportedly up for the role included James McAvoy, Tom Hiddleston, and Alexander Skarsgård. Amy Rose, what do you think of Evans in the lead for The Crow?
While he's maybe a bit easy on the eyes, he's a good-looking cat, I haven't seen enough out of him to determine if he's up for this role. Brandon Lee was the Crow. I mean, that was the most incredible performance. It literally brought his death. Like, I I've discussed many times I don't want this to be remade, but if it's going to be, I saw Tom Hiddleston or Alexander Skarsgård kind of embodying what I imagine this new generation to be. I mean, a badass rocker, vengeance, just this whole dark side of it. And Luke Evans, he's a fine actor. I think I'll know a lot more after seeing him play the villain in Fast and Furious 6. And obviously, if he was just snagged that role, the lead in Dracula, you know, the filmmakers are seeing something in him that perhaps I have not seen yet. So I'll have an open mind, but I would have preferred to see Tom Hiddleston or Alexander Skarsgård just based on what I've seen on the resume already.
I didn't see Luke Evans' name coming, but I gotta tell you something. Luke Evans kind of embodies the idea that just because somebody's in a bad movie doesn't mean there were bad actors in it. I mean, Luke Evans was in that horrendous Three Musketeers film.
Yeah.
He was in The Raven. He was in, I kind of liked Immortals. He played Zeus in Immortals. Now, now his career is really upticking a lot. He's the villain of Fast and Furious 6. He's got the Dracula film. And I personally really like the guy a lot. I mean, I've had a chance to get together with him a couple of times to speak with him. I think he's a very, very solid performer, very, very solid actor. I'm going to say something really unpopular here because everybody knows how much I'm afraid to say unpopular things. Brandon Lee wasn't that good of an actor. I mean, we all know he wasn't, but we associate him with this cult classic.
He was the Crow.
He was the Crow, but that doesn't necessarily mean he did a great job, you know, as the Crow. But he is just the actor associated with. I don't think it's actually going to be that hard to replace him.
Oh,
I know, sacrilegious to
say.
Sacrilegious to say.
Shame on you.
But the world is round, my friends. The world is round. So,
my goodness.
I love this casting. I wouldn't have picked it. Like you all know, I was really more on board with Tom Hiddleston as it possibly, but I never considered the name Luke Evans, but now that it's brought up, yeah, sign me up. All right, folks, we've come to that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's what's going to happen. Chris Lee's got a bunch of other issues from the world of movie news in front of her. She's going to list them off. Then Amy Rose and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Chris Lee, what do we got?
With only 2 months before opening in AMC theaters everywhere on July 3rd, Universal Pictures' Despicable Me 2 has lost one of its leading voice talents. Al Pacino has reportedly departed the project over what is being called creative differences. Pacino is set to voice the villain El Macho, along other voice talents Steve Carell, Kristen Wiig, Russell Brand, Steve Coogan, and Ken Jeong. Apparently, actor Benjamin Bratt will step in to play the voice of El Macho. John, buy or sell Al Pacino walking away from Despicable Me 2?
I gotta sell this. Look, preface with this: we don't know all the circumstances. Maybe there are other circumstances we don't know about. It would change my opinion, but all I can do is give my opinion based on the information we're given, and that is, come on, Pacino. Come on, you're a god among men. What are you doing? Creative differences? You have to walk into a sound booth for 2 days and read some lines. You're the actor. You're not the director. You go in and you do your job. 2 months before the movie comes out, and that's when you decide to walk? You're my hero, dude, but you're disappointing me a lot. I sell it.
Oof. Say hello to my little friend. That must have been the creative differences. I am going to also sell it, but I don't care that much because vocal talents, Despicable Me was great. It was hilarious, really clever. I really liked it. But, you know, they are so about stacking these animated movies with these vocal talents. And let's be real. Is Al Pacino walking away gonna hurt that character? Probably not. No. If you recognize vocal talents in films, you're like, oh, it's so-and-so. But I don't think that makes or breaks the movie. So Al Pacino, do what you want. I still think the movie is gonna do fine.
Bring on the minions. Katherine Heigl and Clive Owen are set to star in an upcoming action film called Survivor. James McTeague, who directed such films as V for Vendetta and The Raven, is attached to direct it. Amy Rose, buy or sell The Sounds of Survivor?
I'm going to buy it because of James McTeague. I loved V for Vendetta. I thought that was a brilliant film and adaptation. And, you know, Katherine Heigl, I'm not a really big fan of her. I think she's really overrated. She was good in Knocked Up, but that was a good film. I think she's just kind of annoying. But Clive Owen is decent. Children of Men was spectacular. And, you know, even in Sin City. So I'm mostly buying it for the director and Clive.
I'm going to sell it. You know, it's always hard to tell when you got a bunch of creative forces on a film. I think you and I have talked about this before, about who is really responsible for it being so good. And we know the Wachowskis were the ones who wrote V for Vendetta, so how much was it McTeague? How much was it the Wachowskis? I wasn't a fan of The Raven. They worked on that. And Katherine Heigl. I mean, we've talked about her before. I don't think she's overrated.
I don't like her.
Specifically because I don't think a lot of people think very highly of her to be overrated. I still think her best movie was not Knocked Up. I still think her best movie was The Ugly Truth.
I'm going to just shake my head on that one.
And what happened to Clive Owen? One day he's in Children of Men.
Yeah.
He's on top of the world, and then poof, he's gone. Where has he been? So overall, it pains me to say it. I mean, look, I'm obviously going to give this a shot. Yeah. I'm very curious about it, but for now, I got to sell it.
I love the Wachowski siblings, as they're called now. But the beautiful shot of V for Vendetta definitely led to believe that James has an artistic eye.
Yeah, true.
Avatar actress Zoe Saldana recently confirmed in an interview that Avatar 2 and 3 are aiming to be shot at the same time, saying they're doing a part 2 and a part 3, and they're probably going to shoot it at the same time. Because if we just do 2 and then wait, I'll probably be 45 or 50 years old by the time we get to part 3. John, buy or sell the 2 Avatar sequels shooting back to back?
I got to buy this. This is really a no-brainer because when you're talking about expensive films like Avatar 2 and 3, these are going to be very expensive. You lower your costs significantly when you do the Peter Jackson thing and shoot them back to back. This just makes sense. It's good for the fans because it means we don't have to wait as long for part 3 to come out. So yeah, overall, I got to give this a buy.
Also buy. Not to mention consistency. I think that when you are filming something right away, that's a big budget with all these crazy, awesome forces behind it. If you just kind of bang the next one out of the park, I think a level of consistency will be felt. And I really like that. And obviously budget and James Cameron. I loved the first one, so I'm excited to see the story continue.
All right, folks, so listen, as we mentioned off the top of the show, Iron Man is just kicking ass everywhere at the box office. Number 2 all-time opening weekend box office success. I recently had a chance to go and sit down with the cast of Iron Man 3 to talk about the film. Of course, it's playing in AMC theaters right now. You can go over to www.amc theaters right now and get your theater and showtime and ticket information for Iron Man 3. So we want to take a second here and share with you the conversation I had with one of the stars of the film, Ms. Gwyneth Paltrow. Take a look. First of all, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Saw it. It's so good.
Thank
you. I've got to imagine with a film like this is very unique because making the first one, it's Iron Man, so by nature there's a little bit of pressure. You're making the second one, the first one was such a success, the pressure mounts. Now you guys are coming off Avengers, probably the greatest comic book movie of all time. Do you guys as a cast as a whole feel that pressure mounting, or are you just able to just let it all slide off your backs?
I don't feel it at all. I don't feel like that's my job. You know, I feel like my job is to come and be Pepper and do the best possible job that I can. I think that Marvel definitely feel the pressure, and Robert as well. I think, you know, he was very invested in having the movie be kind of deeper and go back to reality, strip things back a bit, which I think was a really smart way to approach it, you know, because Avengers was so over the top.
Right. Now, this is your 4th time appearing as Pepper Potts, and it's been really neat seeing this evolution because we've seen you, Pepper, as the companion. We've seen her sometimes as the damsel in distress, but we also get to see her in this film, without giving much away, as the heroine in many ways.
Yeah.
How do you see that evolution of her character?
I think it's great, you know, and I think that's the best of comic book world stuff, you know, that you see somebody metamorphosize like that. You see someone start as an assistant, and she's very much the supplicant and very much like appealing to Tony and cleaning up his messes, and then by the 3rd she sort of transforms and really steps into her power. And I think it's like the Cinderella story of a comic book in a comic book world.
Now, in a lot of comic book films and action films, I find fanboys are often irritated by the love interest in many ways. They just take up screen time. But for Pepper is completely different. I mean, the fanboys went crazy seeing you back in Avengers. They loved it. And you don't get overshadowed by Robert at all. What is it about Pepper
so nice.
and the way that you play her that makes fanboys attach themselves to her as much as any other character in the Iron Man world?
That's so sweet. I didn't even realize that. That's really great. I think probably because Pepper is the most supportive girlfriend. Like Pepper, I think what's so special about Pepper is that she understands what it is to support a man and to not, you know, undermine what he's here to do out in the world. And she, she teases him, and they've got that playful banter and everything, which is really fun to watch. But I think she's very patient, and she's, proud. And so she's on his side, and I think the fans must feel that.
Well, listen, congratulations on the film. You're wonderful in it, and we can't wait to have it on AMC screens.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Once again, don't forget, Iron Man 3 is playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on out and see it before everything sells out once again. Okay, folks, it's time for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you would like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Send in your questions. Every day we pick a few out of the mailbag and address them on air. Chrisley's got a few of them pulled out. So, Chrisley, what do we got?
Chris Norris wrote in and said, I love the show. I'm a huge fan of Wesley Snipes. As a martial artist myself, I enjoy watching Wesley kick ass on the big screen. Do you know when Wesley Snipes' movie Gallow Walker will be released? I believe Wesley Snipes was recently released from prison early in April. Do you know if movie studios Warner, Marvel, Universal have any interest in working with him? Will Wesley play Blade again now that Marvel has the rights to Blade? I would prefer Wesley Snipes as Black Panther. What do you guys think?
Oh, I like your little play on released and release. That was very, very clever. Well, okay, let's look at a couple of realities. First of all, with Gallow Walkers, it's supposed to come out this year, but as of right now, I believe it does not have a significant distributor. So this is probably going to end up being a direct-to-home video movie. Now, also talking about could he return as Blade? I don't think so. Snipes is now 51 years old. I don't know that we could see him as Blade. Plus, if Marvel does decide to do something with Blade, which I'm still not convinced they're going to do, they may resell the rights to Blade again. I think they'd probably want to reboot it and start fresh with a clean slate, so that would probably work. As far as Black Panther goes, let's look. Black Panther is supposed to be a younger guy. He's supposed to be a younger guy. I think that's an important part to the character and who he is. So personally, I don't think we could see him as Black Panther. I wouldn't want him as Black Panther at this point. I still think Snipes can kick ass. I still think he's got a place in the world of action films. I just don't know that Blade or a movie like Black Panther are the right avenues for him to do that. Amy Rose, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you had some good points. I also love Wesley Snipes. He's charismatic and really does know martial arts, and that makes him such
makes him a commodity.
Yes, he really is. But, we touched on Blade. I wasn't on the show when you discussed that, but, Disney is more family friendly, and Blade, to be done right, has to be darker and has to be raw and violent as all hell. And I really do believe the further this goes down the line, as Kevin Feige said, I think they will probably end up selling the rights and reboot the franchise and get a new Blade. Would have loved to see Snipes. Maybe we'll see like a little nod, like a little tip in the hat. He'll do like a cameo in it or something. I think that'd really please fans. But I do think he's maybe perhaps too old to kind of reboot that as well. And Black Panther should be younger, especially if I hope they do it the way it's supposed to be.
Now, what would you think about this, Amy? What do you think about this? I just thought it as a great match. I always kind of associated Blade with Spider-Man. What about selling the rights of Blade to Sony and then maybe having Blade in a Spider-Man film?
Hell yes.
Yeah, I think that would work really well.
That would be epic.
All right.
Grand Master Brent writes, hey guys, I discovered this show about a month or so ago and I never miss an episode. I'm a huge fan of the 80s slasher movie genre. I love the remake reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. So my question is there any chance that there will get sequels to those awesome movies?
The most beautiful thing about film, Grandmaster, is that it is purely subjective. That means you're never wrong to love or hate a film, and that's the great thing about it. No matter how bad a film is, there are people out there who love it. Like me, I love Armageddon. Unabashedly, I love Armageddon, and I know that puts me in the vast minority. Or no matter how good a movie is, there are going to be some people that don't like it, and that's the beautiful thing about movies. The reality is, I'm glad you love the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, but almost nobody else did. The reality is it made about $63 million domestically. If I'm not mistaken, it today has like a 15% critic rating, about a 35, somewhere around 35% audience rating. That doesn't look good. For Friday the 13th, you're looking at about the same box office results, had about a 25% critic rating and maybe like a 50% audience rating. These aren't the types of numbers, either audience reaction, critic reaction, or financial results that a studio wants to see. So, hey, look, I think at some point, maybe 5 years from now, we're going to see a Nightmare on Elm Street rebooted again and a Friday the 13th rebooted again. But as far as sequels to these particular projects, I just don't think the numbers add up for it to happen. Amy Rose, what do you think?
Yep, agree. And I love 80s slasher movies, and, you know, Wes Craven, John Carpenter, like, those are the masters of horror. They're so good at it. I did not see the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, but I did see Friday the 13th, and it was pretty creepy. I did like it. Still not as good as the original. It's really hard to ever be as good as the original for me, because I am a purist. But it does happen sometimes. And, you know, they just reimagined Evil Dead, which I thought was badass and awesome and gory and fabulous. And I do think we'll see some more like that, but there's a lot of other material that they'll probably hit again before they'll do a sequel to the two you mentioned. Think about how many times they've done that one horror movie. Oh God, with the chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Texas, they've done that so many times. And it's great.
Because the world can't get enough of horror movies. I can,
them.
but the world can't.
I can't. I love them.
Christy B writes, hello guys, I'm in love with your show and cannot wait for each new episode. I'm a huge fan of Hugh Jackman, and I think he is one of the most talented and versatile actors alive today. My question is, have you heard any rumors about Hugh being the next James Bond? If not, how do you think Hugh would be in that role?
You want to take this one?
Who's going?
First of all, we both love Hugh.
Yeah,
we love
do.
him.
We really
he
do.
is so talented. He can sing, he can dance, he can do action. He's been the Wolverine, this will be like his 7th time in Days of Future. He's funny, he's charismatic. He actually hosted the Oscars pretty decently well. I really love him, but we're not going to see him as Bond. I really don't. Not only have I not heard that, and I love him, but I think that he is getting older. He's already discussed the Wolverine, how it's getting harder for him to approach that. I'd like to see Daniel Craig do another couple, and I don't think he's off yet. You know, Broccoli at Sony, they love Craig, so hopefully we'll see him lined up for a couple more films, but I don't think it's going to happen with Hugh.
Yeah, one of the biggest hindrances is what you're pointing out, is that right now Daniel Craig is signed on for at least a couple more Bond films, which means minimum we're talking maybe in 6 years.
Yeah.
At that point, Hugh Jackman is 51 years old.
Yeah.
And does he really want to step in and do a character like James Bond at that point? Would he be able to? Of course he would. But is it a good idea for him? Is it something he would want to do? I really doubt it. Plus, even though I feel very strongly against this, I know there will be a lot of people in the fan community that don't like a non-British actor playing James Bond. And you know my feeling. I don't care. I don't care. You give me an Asian James Bond. I really don't care.
Make him a chick. He doesn't care.
Make Bond a girl. I don't care as long as you capture the core essential elements to who the character is. I mean, I think one of the best examples of that of all time that a lot of people were worried about was my personal favorite television show of all time was the new Battlestar Galactica. And when they announced that they changed Starbuck from a guy to a girl, so many people were up in arms. But who is most people's favorite character on the new Battlestar Galactica? Starbuck. So it can be done if you do that right. But I really think James Bond is one of those ones that the fan community will not let you get away with unless you have a British dude doing it. So I do like your idea, but I think for all the circumstances that Amy Rose pointed out, I just don't think it's a reality that could possibly happen.
Mr. Awesome Guy writes, with
Great
Marvel,
names today.
right?
Yeah, great names.
With Marvel recently getting the rights to Blade and Ghost Rider back, and it being unlikely that they will make a movie anytime soon, do you think Disney could do a trade with Fox to get Fantastic Four or X-Men back? Keep up the good work.
Mr. Awesome.
It's like trading cards.
That is the dream, but it's not going to happen. Why would Fox want to get rid of such a lucrative franchise for them as X-Men? It just doesn't make sense. Fantastic Four, they're rebooting now, and everything I've seen, Matthew Vaughn, Josh Trank, everyone behind that, I think it's going to be good. So until these movies stop making money for them, and if Marvel didn't have a good enough trade, and I don't think Blade and Ghost Rider is that trade. X-Men, look at the history of those films. Ghost Rider, even though it made a lot of money, a lot of people like myself thought they were kind of silly. So I don't think that we're going to see that anytime soon. Obviously, Marvel fans want it back at Marvel, but I don't think we should hold our breath too long for that one.
I absolutely love this question. And here's the reason I love this question, because the biggest part of me is I'm a movie fanatic and a movie nerd. But the other part of me, I'm a real big sports fanatic as well, which, you know, Dennis and I are in the office here. We're constantly talking sports, mixed martial arts, whatever. And I love the trade analogy. Here's the problem with the trade analogy, as in any sport, right? I'm here in Los Angeles right now, where the Lakers really suck. And the people, I hear people on sports radio saying, well, why don't they trade for LeBron James? Why don't they go and, okay, yeah. Well, that's yeah. Give him the third string center for LeBron James because they'll really do that. Miami will really get. So you get this problem when you think about trades in terms of trades, is you have to propose a trade that offers equal value, and like Amy Rose just pointed out so accurately, okay, you want Marvel to get back Fantastic Four and X-Men, all right? Well, what does Marvel have to give up to make that deal make sense for Fox? Ghost Rider and Blade?
Not happening.
No. Fox would never go for a deal like that. It's completely unbalanced. There's no way that would work. So then what do they have to get? Do they have to give up Iron Man? Well, then does the trade make sense for Marvel? So it's a very precarious situation again when you start talking trades. But I love the game of it, the game of talking trades. So I want to propose a little contest we're going to do here. Here's a contest we're doing. I want you guys, and we're going to put up, since this is a Marvel topic, tell you what, we will send you an Iron Man 3 poster. And here's what the contest is, all right? Follow me here. Email us at amcmovietalk@gmail.com and put in the subject line trade. So email us at amcmovietalk@gmail.com and put in the subject line trade. And then propose the trade between Fox and Marvel. Hell, make it a three-way trade if you think you can get creative enough to make it happen. I will pick, we'll read off a couple of the trade proposals, and I'll pick the trade proposal that I think makes most sense to be a good, balanced, fair trade, and we'll announce the winner on the show, and we'll send you off one of the Iron Man, a large, full-sized Iron Man 3 poster. So send us your trade proposal. I don't think you can do it. I don't think it'd be done, but we'll take the most common sense one, and we'll send you an Iron Man 3 poster.
And then we'll just submit it to Disney and Fox, and we'll get this going.
We know some people at Disney and Fox.
We do.
Maybe we can make this happen. All right, what's next?
I'd like to play Pepper Potts in the next Iron Man. I'm telling you right now.
Callum Hawthorne writes, "Hi, love your show, and I've been watching it for some time now. My question is about the X-Men movies. Will they reboot it? I'm looking forward to X-Men Days of Future Past, but haven't heard any other movies in development besides Deadpool, which is unlikely to happen. I wish they'd continue the series, but fear it could be terrible after the upcoming X-Men movie. Hugh Jackman has also said it's been harder to do these types of movies as well. Do you think this is the end of the X-Men film series?"
Well, you think it's going to be horrible because the upcoming X-Men movie? I
It's going to be awesome.
I think the upcoming X-Men movie looks pretty good. But let's put that aside for a second. I actually do think this is going to be the end of the line for the X-Men universe as we know it. Now, I'm take this with a grain of salt. I'm not basing that on anything any Fox representative has said. I'm simply telling you what I think is going to happen. Could be miles wrong. But I think with the Fantastic Four rebooting, I think with the fact that they now have Fox, that Fox now has that going, and they have X-Men, and I think they've already made overtures that they want to start crossing those universes, much like Marvel has done with their Avengers series. I think it makes, and the fact that this series has been going on for like 15 years, and that Hugh Jackman is talking about stepping away from it now. He's been doing it for so long. I do think that this X-Men Days of Future Past will be the end of the line for the current X-Men universe, and that they will reboot it to coincide with the rebooting of Fantastic Four and create a shared universe there. Once again, don't take that to the bank. It is simply what I'm speculating, but it seems to make sense for me. Amy Rose, what do you think?
I surely hope not, because I love X-Men. Now, if I get a crossover film, okay, sure, keeping Mama happy there. I think Fantastic Four X-Men crossover film would be epic, of big, large, crazy proportions. And I don't know. I think that these characters are so loved, and there's so much material from the comics that they could explore. There's so many great characters they haven't even introduced yet. So to me, the X-Men fanatic, I don't believe it will end, because people love these characters. And again, Hugh Jackman, as we kind of touched on in the last question with Bond, he is kind of getting over it, but he could still have kind of like an X-Men First Class, just a little scene in it that maybe he's not as much of a pivotal character. It might not work the same way, but I don't think it's the end. Maybe, as John's saying, it's the end of the standalone films, but they're going to keep making films within this franchise. I think it's too beloved, and it's shown them too much success.
I think one of the things we got to keep in mind, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, is that with the Fantastic Four, the names that we've seen brought up, whether it's Michael B. Jordan or the young girl from
Alison
Girls,
Williams.
they are going young.
They are going
And
young.
I think the reason they're going young is because they're thinking, we're not thinking for the next 5 years, we're thinking for the next 15 years, we're thinking for the next 20 years. And if that's the case, Halle Berry can't be Storm anymore.
Yeah.
5, 10 years from now. Ian McKellen, the God among men, cannot be Magneto in an action film anymore 10 years from now. Patrick Stewart can't be Professor X 15 years from now. Hugh Jackman's already said he's kind of done. And do you really want an ongoing continuing X-Men universe where you're going to get no Wolverine really, no Magneto really, no Professor X really? You've already done away with Cyclops. You've already done away with Phoenix. You've already done away with Beast. You've already done away. I mean, it just seems like since they're going so young, I should have mentioned that originally with Fantastic Four, it kind of cues up to me, maybe they're thinking long term. But here's the thought. Can they start a crossover? And I'm asking this legit, I don't know. Can they start a crossover with the new Fantastic Four, with the current existing X-Men universe, and then reboot the X-Men universe and introduce new X-Men later? No? Okay.
I personally don't think they can.
Right.
I think that'd be really confusing, and I'm not a big fan of that idea. Now, if they rebooted the universe and introduced new characters, I'm sure the backlash initially would be like, God, why could you do this? Much like Robert Downey Jr. How we've talked about this so many times. No one can play him. Well, of course they can, and if we find another great actor to take it over. So I think it's
and
one
it's a
of
little
those
bit easier
things.
if you're rebooting it as opposed to just changing actors.
Of course, but there are, I mean, especially Jackman, 7 times as Wolverine. Like, that is going to be a really, really hard role to fill because people love him as Wolverine. But I do think it can be done because people's love for the X-Men might outweigh their love for these actors playing them. Hopefully.
Yep.
Because I want more X-Men films.
And remember, most people hated when they first announced Hugh Jackman was going to play Wolverine. They're all like, who's this guy? And now we can't imagine it without him. Well, listen, folks, that will do it for us. We've run out of time. But listen, while I've got you, take a second, stop what you're doing, and click that subscribe button. Listen, people email me sometimes and say, John, how can we support AMC Movie Talk? Well, share this video on your YouTube page or on your Facebook page, but also just take a second, click that subscribe button. It's the easiest way. We don't need your money. Just support us by clicking subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. Go on out and see a movie tonight. Once again, Iron Man 3, kicking box office ass. Go to www.amctheaters.com, get your showtime information, and of course, you can buy your movie tickets there. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, just look in the description of this video, and you'll find links to our iTunes and our Stitcher Radio. And once again, click that subscribe button. I want to thank, as always, our lovely host, Miss Crystal Lee Kennedy.
Thanks for having me.
AMC Movie News Associate Editor, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Thanks, guys.
And thank you most of all to you guys. Listen, the most important part of the show is not what we have to say, it's what you have to say. Make sure you jump down to the comment section below and leave your thoughts on any or all the topics that we discussed here today. And once again, click the subscribe button. Thanks a lot for joining us. My name is John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.